champion.
The truth lies in darkness. I have done cannot be undone. Without a sound. The truth lies in darkness. Balance is weakness. Secrets kept are weapons.
Your teammate's dead! That is not good. An enemy has been slain! What a good player. Ally down. Ally down.
Do not fear. Shadows have enlightened me. Break the shadows, find the truth.
You got a kill.
Tradition is the
So judging by our score now, we're 1-5, which puts us as tied for last. We came here to win as much as we could, and we're here trying our best, so we'll just kind of take it day by day.
Smithy could steal across the wall with the blast cone. He's gonna jump in. And Smithy gets it. The hope is alive as Team Liquid take down RNG.
一开始就觉得就能拿一胜就拿一胜，但是第二胜就是这样。
Yasuo gets away. Yasuo in the front line gets two.
For the Forge God from behind, Evos will not go quietly into the night. Keep your eyes on Reckless. He's caught, he's silenced, he's feasted, but he's not dead yet. Finally, Xiaohu takes him down. Ole goes down, double F follows. Nobody from Kingzone dies.
I'm definitely having fun with Cinnamon.
It's slow. My pizza.
I have to I just hope we can win even more, so there's even more time to have fun.
popping off.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany, and the 2018 MSI Group Stage. With only 2 days left, we've got some crucial matchups ahead of us as the teams look to secure their spots in the semifinals. Here we see the teams loading into the arena just a moment ago. Uzi getting in that stretch, looking to pilot his team to another couple victories today. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson here with Indiana Froster in black, Sam Kobe Hartman-Kensler, and Joshua Jat Leesman. We have stacked the analyst zone with the NA analysts.
Yeah, NA analysts are showing up today. Jat is showing up, and what are those?
I may have forgotten my shoes.
Would
it be better to not have shoes on at all, or to have these on?
I like to believe you just came in from like a sweet 2-hour run or something.
Can you do this?
That's true. The movement available to Jat in the analyst zone is quite superior to Kobe's. Anyway, continuing to bring the action to all corners of the world, we do have our international broadcast partners. Here you see them on your screen now. Again, a truly global event. We're happy to have them all with us, broadcasting to everyone around this beautiful planet. Now, after going undefeated so far at MSI, Flash Wolves have already secured their spot in the semifinals. Kingzone looking to join them in their upcoming game. RNG managed to catch up to Fnatic after yesterday's win, while Team Liquid and EVOS are in last place at 1-5.
And the question is this going to be the dream run? Are we finally going to see a team go undefeated through group stage, the big 10-0? Because right now, Flash Wolves look unstoppable.
Especially after the last game they just played against Kingzone. They show different styles. They're playing the map really well. The shot calling is on point, but I do think that there is going to be a Flash Wolves loss today.
Some predictions for the Flash Wolves loss. We'll get to those specific matchups a bit later on. Talking about Kingzone, though, as well, and some of the struggles they've had, Jat, we're kind of seeing an interesting mentality develop, and we heard it in a lot of interviews yesterday, sticking to styles and finding styles and identities for each individual team.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you talk about underperforming teams at this tournament. I actually feel like Kingzone has underperformed about as much as Liquid. It's just Kingzone coming into the tournament poorly makes them 4-2.
Oh, man.
Because we were expecting them to just totally demolish everyone with all these different styles, and that's actually been what Flash Wolves has done so far. But I do think that Kingzone will be getting stronger from here on out, but you do never know as well. They haven't won
An ally
much
has been
internationally
slain.
before. They were 3 out of Worlds, right?
An
BDD and
enemy
Con,
has
these
been
super high
slain.
Korean players that come internationally and have looked mostly average, but that game against TL yesterday looked very promising.
And Prey's
Ally
interview
has been
afterwards
slain.
kind of indicates what they're going to do moving forward. He said they want to play aggressively, and they're going to play that split style.
Yeah, we're starting to see that comment come out more and more, that offense in this tournament perhaps more important than defense. Let's continue to dive into that topic and what it means for a team to play offensively.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people will just default to, oh, that means draft early game. You need to have all winning lanes and smash them and look for kills with your jungler. But we've seen it develop in different ways throughout this tournament even. There have been globals used very early on for cross-map plays, split pushing strategies, and there are more ways to go about it than simply trying to switch your lane.
Something simple as that. Playing not scared. Playing to win instead of to not lose. So many times we hear in interviews, about the confidence, about, this guy's the best. I don't know if I can match up to him or something like that. But for me, just play your style. Go into your comfort zone, recognize what makes you strong, and then just put it all on the line.
All right, well, we're going to have 2 days left of group stage to prove that they can play to that level. We've seen 3 days of MSI group stage so far, and I want to take a closer look at some of the key players in Smurfing or slumping. Let's start with the guy who surprised us yesterday in Flash's top laner, Hana.
And the thing is coming into this, there weren't any expectations of if he was going to slump or if he was going to smurf. He is a rookie, but he showed up and he was smurfing through this game. You hardly ever see a Yasuo that clean with that type of team fighting engagement, not just dueling in a side lane.
Yeah, it's been actually insane how well he's played this tournament, based on the fact that we'd never seen him internationally before, and most people didn't even know he existed before this tournament when we're talking about our audience, and we also were not expecting him.
Probably one of the least known players coming in. Kobe?
It almost feels like someone transferred to your server that was well known on some other servers, super good.
Right.
Not a Smurf, but it really surprises people still.
Now, on the other hand, we had a player with huge expectations coming into this tournament. That's Kingzone's top player, Khan.
Yeah, and I think he's had a bit of a hard time just adjusting to this environment. He was so comfortable in the LCK, confidence against everyone, saying every top winner in the world will bow before me. But when it actually came to execution in a lot of those games, he's had a bad Vladimir game. He said he was 3 out of 10 when he actually had kind of a better game, but a lot of inconsistency out of him, and by no means is he a top player at this tournament so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the way that he's failed on multiple styles as well. You know, we would expect that if Khan came in and just played the tanks, that yeah, he would start to slow down. But like you're saying, you know, he had some of those carry champions, like the Vladimir, who was unable to make a connect. So I want to see him find his stride more and really showcase that.
Next back on Caps.
I think everyone would agree that Smurfing had this tournament, praises that thrown at him over and over again, and it is well deserved. After the enemy has been so much about him and having a consistent lane phase, but he's also been playing the side lane, getting solo kills on people. He actually has the most kills of any single person at this tournament, yet he still, when someone is smurfing, sometimes they get a little over aggressive. There have been mistakes. Overall, though, extremely impressive performance.
And also the Vladimir late game against the Camille. I actually talked to a lot of Camille players, a lot of pros, and most people say Camille should win those 1v1s. The Caps was winning at the end. Yes, the turret was helping him out and stuff, but a lot of the time, Camille actually just kills the Vladimir throughout those combos.
So a lot of success coming out of the Fnatic mid laner. Let's talk about the other carry for that squad. Again, expectation around this guy was high coming into the tournament. Reckless.
And where is Reckless? Frankly, outside of one Ezreal game, we really haven't seen the superstar ADC that we expected to see domestically from Europe. And it's part of the reason why Fnatic did start the tournament very cold and weren't able to pick up their win, in my opinion, against RNG yesterday.
Yeah, you even look at that last team fight, the build not having a QSS, not necessarily stepping up in the right time, and finding the balance between playing his style, which is usually a safer laning phase where he can still get an advantage, and then team fighting, but he's having a really hard time turning the corner that he normally does in the team fight phase.
Next player on the list is RNG's jungler, MLXG.
MLXG, people have memed about it a lot, you know, over the course of this tournament, but this is a guy who you feel like is smurfing and slumping simultaneously. You know, a lot of times in the games, he'll come up with huge individual plays, you know, that can win a whole team fight or win an objective for your team. But so far this tournament, overall, he has been very mistake from him that
an enemy has been slain.
So we're definitely looking at him for kind of the turnaround.
And the Nocturne game is certainly going to stand out to a lot of people. He had a lot of bans thrown at him, but specifically when he does get those power picks like the Trundle, like the Olaf, he's still not making the same impact that pretty much every other jungler in the tournament is making, which is just completely
Finally, we have class 4 taken care of. Betty.
Yeah, and this guy definitely smurfing. We had a segment at the start of MSI Tuesday talking about the big 480 carries that were coming in here. He wasn't part of that club, so he made his own club, and it's only for the best 80 carries at MSI. Yeah. 15.5 KDA this guy has.
And no one else is invited, Jed.
It's only Betty. He gets to have as much fun as he wants. No one's going to come trap him in conversations he doesn't want to be a part of. He can just continue to be a great 80 carry who was #1 in the team solo queue out of later, putting a ton of work throughout the year, and we'll see the benefit.
Maybe he'll invite Sword Art.
There you go. Yeah.
Sword Art 80 carry. It's an 80 carry.
All right.
You get to bring a +1 as an 80 carry.
Oh, there you go. The +1 might do a good job. Now, you've heard our opinions on some of the players here at this tournament. We'd also like to know who you think is the MVP of the group stage. Hit us up using the hashtag MSI2018, and we'll highlight your answers throughout the final days. Today's schedule, though, in our first 2 games, we've got the top 4 teams facing each other, starting with Kingzone versus RNG. From there, Team Liquid and EVOS look to secure a much-needed win before we start with today's second set of games.
And ultimately, today is just a kick-ass set of games. I can't think of any more hype matchups than possible. We've got EU versus NA, and it can all be on the line if it's make or break for TL, because if they win early on in the day, they must win that Fnatic game.
Yeah, you're saying EU versus NA all the way at the end of the day. Before that even, the hype matchup between the 1 and 5 teams, this is kind of the point in the tournament where you feel like the ones at the bottom have to make their run now if they're going to make a run.
Yeah, and when I saw the schedule, 5 of the 6 games to me are must-watch matches because of the implications, because of the way that it could really swing like in any direction. Doing predictions for this, to me, was a nightmare because there are a lot of games where I'm thinking it's like 55-45, and I'm trying to formulate in my head. So how do I make a compelling argument for this team to beat this team? Because that's kind of how you do predictions.
Right.
And it was hard. So many of these games were going to be complicated.
Saying anything definitively here on this day, it's going to be quite tough. Of course, I'm looking at RNG of the day, playing both the 1 and 2 slots right now in the stage.
And it's just a question of RNG are done getting smacked around if they're finally going to step up and showcase what they did domestically. Because you keep talking about pretenders and contenders, who's actually going to go back into their form. RNG has yet to show up on the team.
Now, as usual, our analysts have made their predictions for today's game, so let's go ahead and check out their picks. Going on for all 6 games, we are identical across the first 3, predicting that Team Liquid will pick up that much win against Ego. Kobe trying to salvage it for guest here with that one Team Liquid call again today. And of course, we have a couple differences in that RNG Flash Wolves discussion. So let's hit that game 4 real quick.
So I'm the only one that thinks the 6-0 team
is going to continue.
But that's then assuming that they're going to go 10-0.
What? No, it's not. He still can predict tomorrow.
So it's like,
predicting that they'll go 8-0.
Yeah.
All right, for RNG, I was thinking Uzi and Ming are better players, and they're going to show it in this game. In addition, we talked about MLXG and how many bad performances he's had. I'm also a Feastor fan and jungler, and I feel like it's about time for it to swing around, and some of these decisions are going to work out.
I think it is quite a risk to go for Uzi and Ming right now, especially in comparison to Betty and Sorda with some of that Rakan performance. For me, it's all about Xiaohu. Xiaohu has just been, should have been on the slumping. He has definitely been in the gutter. I think it's time for him to pull out and find a champion like Talia and start matching Maple in his roam style. And I think Maple will only elevate to making Xiaohu perform the best of his ability, getting out into those side lanes, which works better.
And I also got to point out that only the first 3 predictions are locked. We're allowed to change the next 3 depending on what happens, because I have an upset candidate for me would be Fnatic over Flash Wolves. When I look at a lot of the indicators for Fnatic, like early game gold, and also how they're supposed to be good in team fights, there's a world where they are 5-1 in this tournament, with a few scenarios played out differently in the past. So they could actually.
I was actually pretty close to putting at the beginning of the day and having the upset there.
What changed?
I will, if you change your vote, I will look down on you. Just know that I'll lose a little bit of respect.
You mean later on in the day?
You can't change your vote for the first 3. I'm a little disappointed that none of you did put your faith in Fnatic after this discussion here, but that's enough from us. It's time to head over to the cast. Kingdom versus RNG.
Thank you very much, Dash, and hello, everyone. Playing fan joined by Betty Day and Chris Papa Smithy Smith. Boys, are you ready for day number 4 here?
I'm so hyped, guys. It's a really fun start to the day. We're starting with the Rift Rivals themselves, China versus Korea, ending with Rift Rivals, NA versus EU.
It's certainly going to be hyped and fascinating to see what adjustments RNG are making to their rematch versus Kingston. Last time, things did not go the way.
Well, that brings us to our first game of the day here, pitting Kingzone against RNG, the LCK champions, playing on the blue side with Khan in the top lane, Peanut in the jungle, BDD mid, Prey on AD carry, Gorilla at support, and Coach Axie.
On the other side of the rift, we have RNG. In the top lane is Let Me, their jungler MLXG, mid laner Xiaohu, AD carry Uzi, support Ming, and Coach Hart.
I'm happy that you mentioned the last time, because the last time, Vedius, it was a rough time for the Chinese fans. The early game, from there, the Graves invade, you'll remember, around the top side, parlayed into almost a smothering of this superstar Chinese squad. And the level 1 here, I think, is going to be fiery, because if we judge Kingzone by their last performance, they're definitely looking to return to their aggressive roots.
Yeah, I really want to see more of these creative picks from Kingzone, because they have had quite a wealth of different champions. 5 different champions over 6 games. And it's the fact that it just seems this bottom lane seems to be able to play pretty much anything, Papa Smithy, depending on their matchup. And if they're able to get a strong 2 versus 2, I think we're in for a bit of action.
Well, the battle music has started. Champion select has begun. Let's see how they want to duke it out here. Karma and Sion immediately banned away by Kingzone. RNG deciding they want to keep Praise Ezreal far away from this game.
While we don't have an overall tournament understanding of what is the best champion, what is the worst, Ezreal's certainly flying up in that particular side. And then, honestly, every team kind of has a champion that is synonymous with them. If we look at Kingzone, to me, the Camille for the top side is the one champion that Khan has been consistent on. It fits their aggressive ethos. Is it a first-round pick? Not necessarily, but I'm interested to see what RNG make of that as the draft goes on.
And I love that you mentioned it, Papa Smith, because this guy has a 100% win rate so far in the tournament. He has a plus 22 CS differential, and understand, his kill participation is only 30%. He does not get involved in fights because of how beautifully this man split pushes. And if Kingzone go back to that style, it feels like other teams really struggle to know how to deal with it.
Taking a look at how the champion select has played out now that the bans are finished in the first round, you are going to see more of that supporting shielding capability removed by Kingzone, wanting to keep some of that away from Uzi by banning out the Morgana. While on the side of RNG, Gangplank and Yasuo, two very powerful solo laners, have benefited.
With the Yasuo ban, remember that's against Kingzone, who haven't showed Yasuo on the competitive stage. One that Khan for sure can play, one that BDD was spamming in solo queue, but not one they prioritized. They've been banning it on the red side. With the flip over, they ban Morgana themselves. It means that Rakan is the natural pick, because that Morgana is not there to answer it. But look on the red side, the Kai'Sa's going to be unleashed for the first time for Uzi.
A champion like Kai'Sa paired with a player like Uzi can spell disaster very easily if you don't keep it under control. And Kingzone will definitely have their work cut out for them in that respect. Alistar also going to be locked in here for RNG.
I like this from Royal. They're saying to Kingzone, look, we're willing to fight you down in the bottom lane. Alistar is great because when the Rakan goes in, Alistar's already now closed the gap to go for that re-engage, and he sets up nicely for Uzi to go for those bullets, especially when you hit the level 6.
And while I follow that logic, and certainly as the game goes on, you're going to love Uzi on the Kai'Sa. Laning phase not going to be a strong point, and Xayah Rakan definitely going to be favored in the 2 versus 2. The map will develop from there. When it comes to priority junglers, I wondered if Peanut was going to go for the Graves that has been a pick for him. He returns his Graves performance from last time against RNG. It has a combat advantage over basically every jungler MXG has to pick up. And if that means that Peanut can invade, that's a good sign for Kingzone's gameplay.
Fascinating as to where RNG go with this, because again, we don't want to pick the jungle. Or could be an option, but will he go for a potential staple pick of his? And the
This is what we wanted him to bring back yesterday. This is a playmaker. You get the drop on Graves. You certainly have the potential to pull off the 1v1. So it's going to be all about boxing with shadows. Whoever gets going, whoever picks up the first kill in these skirmishes can certainly take it all the way.
Kobe said he was expecting some of the feast to come in from Feast or Famine, and Lee Sin's the type of champion that I expect that Feast or Famine style to either really shine or totally go down in flames. We'll see how well MLXG is able to play that with as we work our way into the second round of bans. Remember, it's bottom lane and jungle already drafted for both sides, so the solo lanes are going to be hit pretty hard.
You know, and it's interesting, my stats team just buzzed me to let me know that so far this split in the LPL, MLXG yet to play a Lee Sin game. This guy, you talked about Feast of Famine, he's definitely going to have to be feasting, picking this one up for himself.
And you never forget being a Lee Sin god. Just ask Insect, you bring it back eventually. It's going to be great to see. When you talk about the mid lane champion pool, BDD kind of brought himself back to relevance this tournament on the Taliyah. It's a big pick for Zhao Hu as well. He's actually going to see a ban in the second round. So see where the counter pick is actually going to be held on to for RNG. Usually teams against Khan on the red side will hold top lane pick, especially if you're a tank player, to find a good tank matchup. If Khan's bold enough to blind pick a top laner, that Camille that we discussed is still up.
I'm wondering if Swain becomes a priority here for RNG. Joshua has played it once so far in this tournament and could complement the teamfight style that they are kind of setting up with the Kai'Sa, but also offers a bit of pick potential early lane gank setup in the middle lane. It would be a fairly safe blind as well. Alternatively, they could just go for a bit of engage up towards the top.
And this is definitely the one tank. If Ornn was banned, I think you do play around with a last pick tank, but with Ornn up, they just say, what's the best that you've got, Khan? And remember, you played the Camille into Ornn yesterday. We'll see if Kingzone want to follow that logic. Solo lanes are what they desperately need in this last round.
Well, they know what Khan is going to be up against there on the top side. There's the Camille hover that we've known so much about already. As Khan is so adept at this champion, he's not afraid that they can do a pick up. Go ahead, knock that one themselves. It is the Galio for BDD.
And I'm excited to see this is a return to Galio. This is, of course, one of his staple picks throughout his time on Longzhu Gaming into Kingzone. They also have the guaranteed initiation of the Hextech Ultimatum into the Galio. It's an oldie, it's a goodie, but remember that Galio's been toned down a lot in lane. So actually, Zhao Hu has a lot of different options. He can attack it in lane, and bringing back the Malzahar. We're back to the start of the season.
Malzahar brought back up here the power of the ultimate, that lockdown potential once you hit level 6, and especially once you have a jungler like a Lee Sin, there's a lot of playmaking power between those two.
Yeah, certainly do at level 6. So much pick potential in the middle lane. And overall, in terms of Royals kind of composition, they have a decent amount of mobility, a lot of strong skirmishing, a lot of good pick potential while also decent team fighting. It's just, this comp would make a little more sense to me if it wasn't at least yeah, but in terms of the late game value, I feel like they fall off a little bit, but then you still have the Kaisar there as well. It feels like Royal, they can have a bit of everything with this comp.
Meanwhile, Kingzone do one thing and they do one thing well. They decide we're going to fight. We are going to fight. The Camille ult into the Galliot. Rakan also throwing a wrench into the plans. If they get going, if they get snowballed, you cannot deny team fights. They will stop.
And it's like you said, Papa Smithy, Kingzone at the end of yesterday looked like they were getting some of their mojo back. We heard from the analyst desk how Kingzone wasn't quite up to the expectations that a lot of people had for the team coming into the tournament. Now they're looking to get that momentum back as we get closer and closer to the knockout stage. If they can go ahead and make this comp work, make it look clean, that'll be a big step.
It certainly will, and I love the fact that we've seen BDD again on a pushing role in mid lane champion. Yesterday he went for the Talia, and he had a phenomenal similar style champion, but he had a also, it's time for him to go and Zyrakan, Graves in the jungle, Kingzone, they want to find that early game advantage.
On to the Rift we go for the first game of day 4 here at the MSI 2018 group stages. You can hear the roars of the crowd in the background cheering on their favorite teams. Like you guys said earlier on, it's the Rift Rivals matchup.
Now, level 1 was how Kingzone on the red side found a big advantage with Graves invading over the wall to the left of where Khan was defending on the top side. So RNG will be outdone. They're going to group as 5. Let's see if a late invade is going to come in or if it's just going to be a defensive start, expecting something from Kingzone.
Everybody's holding perfectly calm right now. No itchy trigger fingers just yet. Everybody's cool, just walking around through the brush, playing it safe. Sonic Wave thrown out just to make sure. Khan hanging out in the pixel brush. Won't see anyone just yet. See the line of sight, just barely missing out on getting vision of NLXG.
So the theory here from RNG is it's following on conventional logic. You see Kingzone play aggressive. There's lots of interviews with Prey, for example, saying we're going to return to our aggressive ways. You expect the level 1. You expect the aggression, even though they went through some passive times. Seems like Kingzone maybe going for the next level. They wait, they wait, they wait, and now they're invading at 1 minute 30.
Have the blast cone to get over the wall as well. NLXG has no vision of this and no idea what's coming.
Oh, when he gets completely taken by surprise. First blood on the Kingzone. Prey cashes in on that. The blue to go with it, and that is
exactly the way in which Kingzone want to start the game. Put NLXG behind, get raised into an advantage, and secure first blood onto Prey.
You could say red like a book. They had the spoilers. Speaking of spoilers,
here comes that lane power you were talking about. Zyrakan is going to be difficult to deal with if they get this kind of a lead early. He takes quite a lot of damage there off the back of that initial play that they made.
That would have slipped some wards on the top side. That was before the defensive start that we saw, so they're able to know where he was likely to start. They come in, very nicely done by the side of Kingzone. And like you say, now they have Graves on the front foot, Peanut on the front foot, Peanut BDD. That's the duo that we say has been underperforming. Peanut can just walk up to enemy jungle, post 6 for Galio, and he knows his friend is coming fast.
And I love from Peanut that he hasn't even been into his own jungle yet. He's cleared the entire bottom side of RNG's half of the map, now level 3, and now he's decided, okay, now it's my turn to get a little bit of farm on my side of the map. This Graves was off to a phenomenal start, and MLX is going to be very limited with the options that he has available in this early game. Remember, we said he wants to be finding these early advantages. Maybe when Jahu gets level 6, he can find a way back in. He's going to be very disappointed when he finds there's nothing left for me to take.
He's certainly getting the bad news. He's going to have to try to fight for Scuttle, but we know that's taken as well, so very limited options here for MLXG.
MLXG just not even at level 3 yet, completely out of resources to try to take. He's going to walk down, attempt to look towards the Scuttle. He finds a level 4 Peanut dashing over the wall, continuing to chase. It's flash for flash. MLXG trying to get himself away from this one, but there's no way out.
That is a refresh red buff for Peanut, a level 2 Lee Sin in the early game, and this is falling apart for RNG.
Yeah, you definitely put up your hand as MLXG and say maybe next game, but it's not a scrim. We are on the live game here at MSI. So much control, and the only camp left up for MLXG is his Krug.
And you know, we said at the very beginning of this game, we wanted to see a difference from RNG compared to the last time that they went up against Kingzone, because you have a look at some of the early game advantages from the last time that they met, and they were so significant that RNG were not able to find a way back in. And MLXG doing what he can to find a path back into the game.
So if you notice here, he doesn't hit the Scryer. He doesn't want to be revealed. He just wants to go for a red buff steal, hoping Peanut's top side. He's not. BDD has the drop on him. Just too easy for Kingzone.
But you just have to think about like his decision-making process there, because he recognizes the bot side of his map is cleared out. He sees that Scuttle has been done as well, and then he feels that, okay, maybe the enemy isn't in their own half of the jungle. He unfortunately is surprised that now he's still only level.
Because if you follow the theory, he took top side, and then you're thinking, okay, the enemy's going to take his blue, so that the blue buff is the natural place for him to go, because you're already thinking about vertical jungling. Instead, he's gone bottom side. He got the drop. He was 2 levels up. Very simple. That's an execution to Kingzone to double down.
Whenever I see Lee Sin, I always think this is a champion that I don't want to see sitting at 0-0-0 by the time it's 6. You want to see all of these plays, but 0-2-0, not exactly the direction he'd like to be heading towards. MLXG 12 CS compared to the 40 of his opponent. Of course, that will go up to 16 compared to 40, but it's still not a situation he wants to find himself in.
Peanut currently has 2,200 total gold at 5 He is the gold leader on Kingzone right now, level 5. That's so far ahead of anyone in the game.
A reminder, double counts count as 4 CS. So that's pretty anemic stuff for MLXG. While releasing can get ahead and snowball on a Graves. He doesn't want to face the Graves at any point, certainly not now. And just about getting over level 4. And Peanut has the timers, he's already topside.
He knows he can engage like this, but not afraid. Beating with that level 6 that can come to Peanut's aid if he needs to. That he wants to work with to try to buy his jungler just a little bit of breathing room here. MLXG one big chicken left.
And let's consider what had to happen when the top lane roamed down, the support roamed up, so that MLXG could get used raptors. That is what they were fighting for. That's already a line in the sand for RNG. They know they need to stem the bleeding, and that is how small an advantage. They can't afford to give up more, because Peanut's a monster. He's level 6 with any more experience.
Now, MLXG can still, in theory, be relevant in a couple of late game fights when you think about his ability to ult a kick out to the Camille if she tries to ulti. Maybe if you do it before the Galio ulti, that initial engage from Kingzone could be mitigated, but obviously you're thinking theory now and you're thinking best case scenario. In terms of the situation that RNG is in right now, things are looking dire. And MLXG will be hoping to find a couple of kicks in the mid lane now that Xiaoyu has hit level 6.
One of those important timings was MLXG being level 5 or level 6 and actually trying to punish the Galio in lane. You can technically one rotation him down if everyone lands everything they're equal level. Not equal level, level 6 is a long way away. So right now, burst rotation on a Catalyst Galio, it's not going to quite be there after all the nerfs to the Mauser.
MLXG continuing to take the blue buff, will actually take second blue just to get himself a bit more caught up in terms of the pace of this game, while Peanut looks to invade here towards second red. Level 6 on the Graves, has the challenging smite as well. Very threatening in a duel situation.
These early levels, BDD will have priority over the middle lane. Still getting a couple of extra points. It's also rather easy for Galio's passage to just clear out those little creeps as well, but Malzahar does fall. But now we see Magnet
going after that Malzahar, not quite finding the damage they need. A good flash from Xiaohu will manage to get him away from that burst, but he still suffers quite a lot at the end of that.
BDD's own flash, but it doesn't mean that Peanut can't continue to invade top of bot side, and Galio still be able to rotate first. So trade of summoners, not a bad thing necessarily. Peanut was spotted by the shadow ward there that was put out by RNG.
Now Peanut just gets to head back into his own jungle yet again. He took the enemy red buff, now he can take his red buff. He's still in a very good spot in terms of his appearance Dog like his opponent, 60 to 29 CS. He's got probably almost enough money for the full Warrior championship.
We could discuss that that's the only meaningful lead. It is a big one, but the meaningful lead is between the junglers. Peanut's not present, much more even around the map. And also, the jungler getting a lead when it's a combat jungler like Graves who can struggle in the late game does mean that Kingzone need to flex their muscles soon. They've got globals, they've got initiation. That Infernal Drake needs to be a target in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
With his level 6 finally online, trying to make a play, makes him run and not 1 to 2. They grab the kill on the Gorilla and MLXG.
RNG finally find a successful play on the bottom side of the map. Yes, it cost Ming's flag, but it secured the bot lane and kill and relieved some of that pressure. This is the best case scenario for RNG in this early game. Set flowers and get MLXG back into this game.
Really nice timing as well. Galio's not actually in range to ult, so this is the timing you want. MLXG patient. He has hit the level 6 mark. He does have the kick available. Waiting for the timing here. MLXG, he was waiting for the call. We know Uzi usually leads these plays. They knew they had the damage and was well executed.
I love the fact that MLXG also flashed to kick in Gorilla to the wall so that he would be suspended in air for long enough that they would get that damage down and secure that kill for sure.
Sometimes it's not just the knock back, it's the knock up part of the kick that keeps him there just that extra little bit of time to seal the deal 100%. Xiaohu getting himself away in time as BDD tries to charge in. Peanut still waiting in the wings in this mid lane, paying a lot of attention to this, always looking around this area.
Big item lead is on the Graves. Already Warrior enchant, as we know. A lot of levels loaded into him as well, but bless his heart, MLXG still trying to make things happen. Doesn't have kick available for this game.
Looks like Khan's not going to put himself into a dangerous position just yet. Let me continue to push this one up. Bellows the breath out. Khan gets a little bit of damage there with the Tiamat. We'll see if he ends up taking the bait on this one. Around.
Also working towards the top side. Keep your eyes on what BDD does, because Kingzone, they sense a disturbance in the force. Will be spotted out. And BDD secures his blue buff, and now Khan will be able to just safely walk away. No real risk of him getting collapsed upon. And I love the fact that RNG are still being proactive. They're the ones still looking for these early ganks, trying to find a couple of skirmishes, see if they can find this early lead and get themselves back into the game rather than just allowing to continue on and get that level.
And this will sound insane, but actually the almost best thing for MLXG to do is to try these ganks, trying another one.
Might be in some danger here. Dodges away from the ultimate very, very well. Now can he get himself away from Lefty? A little bit more damage would seal his fate. But Khan's doing a wonderful job at baiting. It'll still be 1 for 1.
Khan's so reliable on dodging out on key spells with the ultimate. He does it there. Not quite the 1 for 2. The teleport cancelled by BDD. Seems like Peanut and the team of Kingzone just want to load the troops, take the Infernal, and they'll be pretty happy with a 1 for 1 in a 1v2.
Khan does it once again, demonstrating his proficiency on this champion. In a 1v2, finds the outplay, his team is able to get something off the back of it as well. Kingzone just continuing to extend this early lead in their favor, bigger than all of them.
And what I wanted to mention was, MLXG, if he goes to his camps, Graves is tracking him. He'll be there. If he goes for the ganks, much less likely, so the battle warning doesn't happen. Watching the outplay here, does so much damage with the ult. Gets the 1 for 1. That's just Khan on Camille. Something RNG did leave open, and I'll be the turret.
But now one of the big things was that Khan did use his flash in that game, which was like he could look for reverse play once the ult is available, using it. Hang around the bottom river once again. Just like, oh, jungle house. Finally, I have some farm.
Back to his camps, but Xiaohu says, all right, you got to take a second through, but that's going to be enough. The end of it is going to be bottom lane. Gorilla going in onto Uzi, dropping the ignite, able to find the initiation. Uzi with an expert dodge to get away as Ming gets out as well.
Uzi was so